I want to welcome you to the November 24th, 2020 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. And for all those watching on Facebook, we're glad you're with us as always. And we will begin, as we usually do, with an invocation. So please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, please look over this body as we make decisions for the good of Henderson County and its residents. Please watch over them as they continue to deal with COVID-19. We think about the families who are ill or who have lost loved ones or who have loved ones in hospitals. We hope you grant your blessings on them. Please watch over our first responders and all of our healthcare workers as they continue to fight this virus. And we also think about our men and women overseas helping us stay free. I ask all that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to
the flag
the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Masher Berry.
Here.
Masher Southern.
Here.
Masher McCollum.
Here.
Masher Putman.
Here.
Masher Moran.
Here.
Thank you and good morning, everybody. You have before you the minutes of the November 10th, 2020 fiscal court meeting. To period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Master McCollum, second by Master Putman. Have any clarifications, corrections, additions?
I did not see any.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. We'll begin with some appointments. The first one, definitely take fiscal court approval. Amanda Hardy is with us from the Henderson County Cooperative Extension Office, and these are nominations for the district board. And we had 4 names offered to us, 2 for each seat. I contacted all involved, and I would like to recommend Corey Bridges for the seat formerly occupied by Bob McIndoe, who is rolling off. And I would recommend Gary Eblin for the seat in which Kevin Martin is rolling off. Again, I talked to all 4 candidates, and they were all good with these 2 appointments. Anything you'd like to add to that, Amanda?
I am good. I think we had 4 good people, so any of them would have been great. Thank you.
I agree. We're all 4 good candidates. I know them all, and they're all good people. I'd make a motion to go ahead and approve.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Master McCollum, second by Master Berry, I believe, for Corey Bridges taking over for Bob McIndoe and Gary Eblin taking over for Kevin Martin. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. We also, I'd like to reappoint Doug Bell to the 4-star board, more formally known as the West Kentucky Regional Industrial Development Authority Board, but this is overseeing 4-star. Doug has been chairman for several years now and done a great job. He's up for reappointment, and I have full confidence in him. So, again, he has done a marvelous job leading that board. So, any questions about that?
I move we appoint Doug, Judge.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion from Master Putman, second from Master McCullum. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we have a resolution in support of helping our transportation cabinet afford maintaining and improving our state's infrastructure. And we did this a couple of years ago, and we are heading into another General Assembly session where this issue is going to be brought up, and it's vitally important in my opinion, and I think you all share that opinion, that coming up with new revenue to not only get through the backlog of deferred maintenance that we have, but also to do new things such as building the I-69 bridge. The state General Assembly desperately needs to do something in this regard, including possibly raising the gas tax. And you've heard me many times say that we are long overdue for that, and that surrounding states have done that and reaped the benefit, while Kentucky has just not bitten the bullet yet. And so we have a resolution that is offered to us through the Kentucky County Judge Executives Association that I'd like the clerk to read. Any questions about this or comments before he reads it? Did everybody get a chance to read through it?
Yes.
Yes.
So with that, I'll ask the clerk to read the resolution.
Support to address the modernization of Kentucky's transportation funding mechanisms to address transportation funding needs throughout the Commonwealth. Whereas all of Kentucky benefits from an interconnected, multi-module transportation network that contains 57 airports, 2,600 freight rail miles, 8 operating public river ports, a statewide transit network, more than 14,000 bridges, and nearly 80,000 central lines of miles of roadways. Whereas safe, efficient transportation is deemed an essential public service provided to all Kentucky communities. Whereas all Kentucky communities depend on a safe, reliable transportation network to enhance their economic development opportunities. And whereas all Kentuckians depend on the transportation network for access to education, healthcare, employment, and other necessities. Whereas since 2015, due to falling gas prices and reduced fuel tax revenues, state transportation funding has dropped nearly $200 million per year. Whereas in Henderson County, our road funding has decreased from $1,322,194 in 2019 down to $1,162,523 this year. Whereas according to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Kentucky's road fund requires an additional $9 million per year to address current maintenance and construction needs. Whereas Kentucky's airports, rivers, railroads, river ports, and transit systems require sustained, adequate investments for maintenance and improvements. Whereas Henderson County affirms and supports in the strongest terms House Resolution 826 filed by Representative Sal Sartoro, urging the Kentucky General Assembly to adequately fund transportation in the Commonwealth. Now therefore be it resolved that the Henderson County Fiscal Court supports legislation to modernize Kentucky's transportation funding mechanisms to increase existing sources of funding to generate revenues needed for maintenance and construction of all modes of transportation. Be it further resolved that the Henderson County Fiscal Court strongly encourages the Kentucky General Assembly to act as soon as possible in the 2021 session to address all of Kentucky's transportation funding needs to avoid further erosion of the transportation network.
Entertain a motion to approve that support resolution.
I move we accept the
Second.
resolution.
We have a motion by Magistrate Moran, a second by Magistrate Southern. Any other comments or questions?
I would like to say, for everyone that's watching, we're passing this resolution, and that's going to go to Frankfurt, but our voice is not near as big as yours. And I would like for everybody to reach out to their legislators and support this bill, because we are in dire need of some more funding to get our roads back up to snuff.
I'd like to make a comment too. Tim is absolutely right. This is nothing new. The Green River Spotsville Bridge was on the 10-year plan since 1972. At least 15 years ago in open court, I asked the engineer from Madison, the chief engineer, how much money did they bring in for each year towards the 10-year plan? He said, Mr. McCollum, I'll have to talk to you after the meeting. After the meeting, he came to me and told me, he said he'd been told he would be fired if he talked about how much less money we had and how little money was raised for the 10-year plan in 1 year. And that has not changed. And we've had partisan politics. This last time we were told, I was at a meeting and I was told by the head of the Senate, he was going to make sure it passed. And then we got into who was going to get to point the head of the transportation cabinet. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the bickering between the two parties and everybody. And this needs to happen for Henderson and for our whole community. I'm for it.
Amen.
Well said.
Okay, any other comments? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have a couple resolutions from involving CARES Act money that was given to the cities of Roberts and Corydon that they did not use, and they have the option, according to DLG, to give those excess funds to the county for use in helping mitigate COVID-related expenses. I talked to both mayors. They were eager to make sure this money stayed in the county. And I made the promise to them that even as we were, hopefully accepting this money into our general fund budget, that if they needed help as we continue down this road of dealing with the pandemic, that they could certainly come back to the county and we would help them any way we could. So, those funds will help the county, obviously, but they're also going to be there. We are going to be there for Roberts and Corydon if they need help, because quite frankly, the end of these needs isn't necessarily in sight at the moment. So any questions about both of these resolutions, which according to DLG and state regulations, we have to pass to take that money in from them? Okay, I'll have the clerk read the first resolution, this one being from Roberts.
Resolution authorizing coronavirus relief funds transfer from the city of Roberts to the Henderson County Fiscal Court. Whereas the city of Roberts has CRF funds allotted, but does not desire reimbursement for expenses incurred due to the public health emergency in respect to coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19. And whereas Henderson County desires reimbursement for expenses incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to the coronavirus 2019, and whereas the city of Roberts has agreed to transfer $15,768 of their city of Roberts CRF funds allotment to the Henderson County. And whereas it is recognized that Henderson County will have additional CRF funds available to Henderson County pursuant to the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, the CARES Act, and impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county that require, among other things, one, the approval of satisfactory application by the county transmitted to DLG for approval, and other obligations of the county in connection with receiving the CRF funds for the purposes stated herein. Now therefore be resolved this 24th day of November 2020 by the Henderson County Fiscal Court as follows. One, that the Henderson County Fiscal Court agrees to accept the transfer of City of Roberts CRF allotment in the amount of $15,768, which shall be transferred to the Henderson County CRF funds allotment. Two, a CRF application on behalf of the county for CRF funds for reimbursement of expenses incurred by the county due to the public health emergency with respect to COVID-19 shall be submitted to DLG, and the county judge executive is hereby authorized and directed to do the same. Three, the county judge executive shall provide additional information and furnish such documentation as may be required. Four, the county judge executive is hereby designated to act as the authorized correspondent for reimbursement.
Entertain a motion to approve that.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Master Putman, a second by Magistrate Moran. Any questions about this resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. And now we'll go to the one from Corydon. Mr. Clerk.
Resolution authorizing coronavirus relief funds transfer from the city of Corydon to the Henderson County Fiscal Court. Whereas city of Corydon has CRF funds allotted but does not desire reimbursement for expenses incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to the coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19. And whereas Henderson County desires reimbursement for expenses incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to the coronavirus disease 2019. And whereas the city of Henderson has agreed to transfer $37,050 of their city of Corydon CRF funds allotment to Henderson County. And whereas it is recognized that Henderson County will have additional CRF funds available to the Henderson County pursuant to the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES Act, and impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county that require, among other things, 1, approval of a satisfactory application by the county transmitted to DLG for approval, and 2, other obligations of the county in connection with receiving the CRF funds for the purposes stated herein. Now therefore be it resolved this 24th day of November 2020 by the Henderson County Fiscal Court as follows. 1, that the Henderson County Fiscal Court agrees to accept the transfer of City of Corydon CRF fund allotment in the amount of $37,050, which shall be transferred to the Henderson County CRF funds allotment. 2, a CRF application on behalf of the county for CRF funds for reimbursement of expenses incurred by the county due to the public health emergency with respect to COVID-19 shall be submitted to DLG, and the county judge executive is hereby authorized and directed to do the same. 3, the county judge executive shall provide such additional information and furnish such documentation as may be required. And 4, the county judge executive is hereby designated to act as the authorized correspondent for reimbursement.
Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I move to accept.
Have a second.
Second.
We have a motion by Master McCollum, a second by Master Southard. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And again, we'll be ready to help both of those cities if they need it. Okay, let me preface our next presentation by Brent Hepner with a couple comments. Brent, if you don't mind. We brought Brent on to take over occupational tax collection duties midway through the 2018-19 fiscal year. And he has done a tremendous job. We hired him part-time. He was a friend of mine, and I knew that he had the time and talent to tackle this job, even on a part-time basis. And he's going to be presenting some data to show how he's done. And short story is that he has just been outstanding and has grown both revenue and the number of accounts that we have. And he's going to talk a little bit about that. But what we're basically here to ask the court is to strongly consider turning this part-time position into a full-time position, because Brent has grown it to the point where it's hard to even come close to doing the job in 24 hours a week, which is what qualifies as part-time. And that to continue to have the professionalism involved in doing it correctly, doing the job correctly, we really need to strongly consider making it full-time position. And I think he's going to show you some data that would support that proposal. So with that, Brent, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So you should have a shared screen with the slide presentation I'm going to speak on. Just to let you know up front, this is a proposal of a possibility, and there is a typo or two in there that I'll point out as we go. So here we go off the first
Brent,
slide.
you shared the wrong screen.
I did? I apologize. Let me figure out why. So I'll stop my share and start over. Does that one give it to you?
There we go.
There. Yes.
Okay, I apologize. Technologically challenged. So Henderson County Fiscal Court, I'm asking the court to reconsider my contract. When I was first hired, as the judge said, it was a part-time job, and the job was very different. And over the last 18 months, it's really evolved. Numbers that I'm going to show to you bring the occupation tax in-house, show that it's a very good decision for the county financially. It's turned out well. Over the last 11 months, I've found it incredibly hard to do it in a 24-hour work week, and I found myself in most weeks either working from home or working plus hours out of just a commitment to get the job done, continue it to grow, and make sure it's a positive revenue stream. I believe the occupational tax administration job is a full-time position for the county. It should be professionalized, and as of December 1st, I'd like my pay in the position to reflect as such. Yesterday, I briefed the financial committee, and I've reduced this brief quite a bit, but what I'd like to show you here is just on our county data from the inception of the occupational tax brought about by the county. The first couple of years, fiscal years 17 and 18, were administered by the city. You can see there's a little bit of growth, not a lot, but it has grown every year, continues to grow. And when we brought it in-house, not only did we save that 3% that we were paying the city, but also it's grown quite a bit, as you can see from fiscal year 19 to 20. That's what is captured on that last line. So we grew pretty extensively. We've grown about 450 accounts, and I believe it's because of the hard work of the office, which is not just me, but the office in total. Current collections to this point, I still show us on a positive trend in difficult times with about a 1% gain over the same equal time last year, which is plus 1.5 months past the first quarter. So I show that last slide, or this slide we're looking at right now, just to show you that the trajectory, if the job is done right and works hard, can continue to grow. I believe it can grow. I still believe there's a lot of accounts out there. These numbers also reflect the two tiers, or the two different arms of the occupational tax, which is payroll, occupational tax, and net profit. So proposition, what I originally proposed to the financial committee is that it is a contract job. I generated numbers that you see in front of you that I'll explain a little bit, just on what the current existing job is paid at hourly if I'm part-time, moving it to a full-time position, trying to keep the salary somewhat in balance, benefiting the county, myself as a whole. I imagine you'll talk more after I'm offline as to what the totality of the responsibility of the financial side is of it to the county. But once again, this is just a proposition to keep it as a contract employee versus a full-time employee that pays into the retirement system. And I want to state that this is not just me asking for a raise in the position, but it's a redesignation of the job. Here's how I calculated the numbers. Current position times the number of hours worked as projected came out to 28.6 hours, or dollars an hour. Cost to the county plus what they pay now with no benefits at all, only Medicare and Social Security is paid. Total to the county was about $38,431. To keep the salary, what I believe a full-time position, right down the median from the state as produced off the CAICO documents, for the median salary for the county of Henderson's size and population was a bracket area of between about $46,000 and about $56,000. So I calculated this number out to be somewhere right in the middle, which is what you see down there in just the proposition for a contract employee is 28.6 times 40-hour work week times 46 work weeks gave me 52,694. That is not necessarily how the hourly wage works out if it's a full-time position, contributing with retirement and medical and all that. So just a proposition, those are where the numbers came from. I hope the court considers the benefits and the revenues generated over the last year and a half as a positive thing and considers my proposal and request. Any
I
questions?
want to add a couple things there. Brent mentioned that he's added 450 accounts, 450 businesses that now have business licenses, as they should. And a vast majority of those are businesses from outside the county coming into the county to do work. And Brent has really worked hard to make sure that they pay their fair share as well. Local businesses have been very good at doing what they're supposed to do under the occupational tax ordinance. It is the out-of-county businesses that have been the target of many of Brent's efforts to assure that they operate on a level playing field with our local businesses. In many respects, if the outside of county businesses were not, required to pay what they are supposed to under the law, they would be operating at a competitive advantage over local businesses because they wouldn't have the tax responsibilities that are spelled out in the occupational tax law. So it's not just that turning this position into full-time somehow creates the idea that we're going to be out there grabbing more taxes from local folks. A lot of it is making sure that all people who do business in Henderson County follow the law and make it fair in all respects. And making this full-time will help accomplish that. Is everybody, am I making sense there?
Yes.
So I want to commend Brett. I would propose that we think about that dollar figure, the amount of the salary figure, be a salaried position, not an hourly position. The rest of the occupations, the jobs up here on the third floor are salary positions. Brent yesterday, one of the proposals he made, one of the options he offered was turning this into a contract position, which would save the county money and give him a little bit more flexibility because he has some things going on in his life with the health of parents that might require him to take leave, as it were, and being a contractor might provide that flexibility. But Steve Gold and I consulted this morning on the possibilities of that and what the law requires us to show in creating a contract position. And I'll turn it over to Steve now to talk a little bit about that.
Steve, could I back up 1 second? I
Sure.
apologize. I went over it so fast. Ladies and gentlemen, on your slide, the second one on county data this morning, as I was reviewing it, I realized I had a typo in there for fiscal year 19. The slides that were presented to you on a PowerPoint for fiscal year 19 were wrong. They reflected 3,065,150. It's actually off by 100,000. I corrected that on my slides that I'm presenting, but you don't have that slide. Also, in the final slide, as the judge said, my computations times 46 weeks were because of my personal circumstances and how the job was molded, and I didn't expand on that. So
and the 100,000 we were off. We added 100,000 to the number that was originally sent out to the fiscal court members. Is that right, Brent?
Yes, that's correct. There's a typo.
Collected 100,000 more than that. Okay, let me turn it over to Steve Gold.
All right. I always hate being Mr. Bad News. Sometimes the idea of doing occupational tax by a contracted employee or a contracted or an independent contractor is certainly possible and doable. It would take a pretty radical redefinition of that job as we know it. The Kentucky Supreme Court has set out 4 factors for whether somebody is an employee or an independent contractor. Of course, if the individual is an employee, you got to pay things like retirement, unemployment, workers' comp, all those things. If they're an independent contractor, you don't, and they have to pay their own insurance and things like that. So there is a benefit to doing that. However, those factors that have been in the law, the first one is the nature of the work as related to the business generally carried on by the employer. Well, governments are in the business of collecting taxes. So that is, it's not that we're contracting out for work that governments don't do. The second is the extent of control exercised by the employer, and that has to do with setting of hours and providing equipment to be done and setting how it is supposed to be done. The third is the professional skills of the alleged employee, whether they have any particular backgrounds. In this situation, it would be an accountant, CPA, any other sort of training or certificate along those lines. And the last is the intent of the parties, whether the individual is treated as an employee, but just called an independent contractor to avoid paying retirement, unemployment, workers' comp, things like that. Generally, given the current state of Brent's job, that he is definitely an employee. There would be ways that this could be morphed into something that is contracted out. Some of the other factors that are used by unemployment are whether the individual holds themselves out to other businesses for hire. So whether he would be looking at doing the same type of work for other governments, those sort of things. Right now, as things stand, he probably wouldn't be able to be considered an independent contractor doing this job, but it would be possible, and that would probably be something that the county would have to put out for bids if we're truly going out to have an independent contractor do this type of work. So I hate to be Mr. Bad News about that part of it. That being said, I can just say personally, and I know this is the policy decision that the fiscal court needs to make, but I can tell you that Mr. Hepner he is relentless in tracking down these folks that are coming into the county and trying to not pay. And I think the question becomes, even if there were an additional cost with regard to pension, health insurance, things like that, whether or not he is bringing in enough to justify that increase. And I can tell you, he cannot be fatigued. He is indefatigable when it comes to collecting that. And I've enjoyed working with him on that.
And even beyond that question, and thank you, Steve, very much. Not only are we thinking about turning this into a full-time job for Brent to continue to work, but we also have to think about what happens when Brent eventually leaves. And, you know, he is retired military. He does not necessarily need this job. He did it kind of as a favor to me, and he's been excellent. And but I got to think about who takes over for Brent once he leaves. And I would suspect that would remain a full-time position. I think we'd want it as a full-time position and probably be an employee of the county. While Brent, despite some of the requirements that Steve lined out, Brent could easily, if we offered him it on contract, he'd accept, because he doesn't necessarily need the insurance. He doesn't need the retirement benefits, all that much. But he's fairly unusual. I think that's an unusual situation. And the person we hire to replace him will probably need all those things, ask for all those things. So after hearing what Mr. Gold had to say, I would think that if we agree that this needs to be a full-time position to allow Brent to get the full benefit of the job and for the fiscal court to get the full benefit of his efforts, that we need to make it a full-time salaried staff position. I think the minimum amount of benefits that would go with this would be probably in the neighborhood of $16,000 on top of that. So we're looking at a cost of around $68,000. But as has been mentioned, and as Brent showed, the amount of money that he's brought in and the amount of money we've saved by taking this entire operation in-house has been very substantial. Many times over what this position would cost full-time. And that's good for all the rest of our employees that Brent is helping bring in the revenue that it takes to make sure that we can afford other positions and potential raises and all the other things the county does. So with that, I'll end my comments. And I will say that the Finance Committee heard this presentation from Brent yesterday. It has talked about it on a couple different occasions. And I'd like Master Putman and Master McCollum, if they have comments from the Finance Committee about this whole proposition.
Well, I'll start. I mean, yesterday when we left it, this was going to be a contract position. And of course, Steve, I'm the one that dumped this on you, said that they needed to check to see if that was a possibility. So you can thank me anytime you want to. It's, you know, I'm a little concerned. I think we do need to think about having somebody, because he doesn't know how long he's going to stay. I mean, who's going to take over when he leaves? How are we going to progress this thing? Maybe bringing somebody else in to assist him. We just done that one person. but to relieve him of the hours so he doesn't go over. He's done a fantastic job. I'm all for that. I'm just a little, this is not what we talked about exactly yesterday, and I'm just not sure where I feel now. He's done a great job. I really like what he does. Nothing against that. Just
To remind you though, he did show us the potential cost of added benefits if we made it a staff position versus a contract position. He offered those two options.
I understand.
You wanted.
Yeah, and I think the one was, it showed about a 66 for the single family with the benefits, was around 66,000. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, Brent is actually, I mean, he's paying he's bringing in 4 times more than what really what
remember, for
the
Brent,
job would cost him. Yeah.
Yeah, for Brent, he wouldn't be taking the health insurance. Now, whoever succeeded him likely would.
Wait,
We would be in that price range,
but just kind of figuring in the middle there, you know, on that 66,000.
Right.
But he does a tremendous job. I'm pretty much in tune with whatever we need to do. Be honest with you, I think the numbers are the numbers, and to me, they just would almost tell the story that he's worth every penny of it.
And to remind the court, when the city was doing this for us, we paid a fee that was typically in the range of $83,000 to the city.
Correct.
And so we have
Plus
saved
had
that.
our own
And
part-time
we still had a
employee.
part-time position. I'm sorry, Steve. We still had a part-time position here.
Yeah.
Andrew Powell was working it. We were paying him approximately 35, I think, to split time between the attorney's office and his occupational tax responsibilities. But we were all, in addition to that, we were paying 83,000 in the neighborhood of that to the city. So the total cost of collection was over $111,000. Shirley Pruitt, who works both for in helping Brent and also supports our other finance department duties, is part of her salary can be assigned to occupational tax collection costs. But even if you figure in 66 plus Shirley's 35, we're still on the good when it comes to costs of collection compared to what the model was before. Approximately a little over $100,000 versus more than 111. And then you add in all the added revenue that Brent has brought in just in a year and a half. I think it makes for the argument that we can more than afford this transition of this job with potentially more gains on revenue collection in the future. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Anybody else have thoughts? I'm open to your thinking.
The problem I have with contracting is you kind of lose your say. Once you contract someone, then they work at their pace, I don't worry about Brett, but I'm looking at future. If you've got an employee, at least you have control of what the employee's doing. And it's just, I actually would lean toward hiring him as an employee over contracting myself.
Making him a full-time employee, yeah.
Yes, because obviously he's good for the county. I mean, it's if all you have to do is look at the numbers, it's pretty cut and dry there. But one of the things I caught with Steve is we'll have to bid the contract, and so nobody says it'll be Brett if we go with contracted labor. I think we ought to hire. I think we ought to hire a full-time position.
I agree with Tim. I think that's a good point, Tim.
I just need some time to think about this. Now, I'm not trying to throw a monkey wrench in this, but I can see a comparison with the sheriff's office and his clerks and how much money they bring in. If that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're going to justify it. I can see what Renice's office brings in. I can see what the jail brings in. Is this how we're going to make our decisions? I was county attorney and I increased child support by $200,000 from less than 200 to 6 million a year. I didn't get paid any more for doing that. I was doing my job. So I don't know. I'm just, this has got me. I like the position contract where we didn't have to pay any benefits. It made sense to me yesterday in that regard. But now trying to push it off because of what he's done a good job, because a lot of this, no disrespect to anybody, once you got them paying, they're paying, okay? I don't have to do anything more except watch them, make sure they keep doing their job. Going out and getting them like he's done, that's the hard part, but he's done a lot of it. I don't know how much is left out there to do. I don't know, but I just need to, this is different than what I thought, and I need to think about it.
Well, Brent has said many times that there's a lot more money out there that we would be leaving on the table if we got somebody that wasn't as aggressive as he was. And to be as aggressive as he's being, he needs this to be a full-time job. And I thought we were pretty clear in the meeting yesterday that there were two options here, and he spelled out the costs. That was part of his presentation, Charlie. And
it was there, but that's not what we talked about. We talked about it being a contract. And I said, I think we need to talk to Steve about this because I'm not sure it's
that was
done.
That was one option. That was one option he presented. And he has asked that we go ahead and make the decision by his anniversary date, which is December 1st. And that will be in between these two, this fiscal court meeting and the next. But I don't know. I mean, to me, it makes a lot of sense. And I know there's added cost, but we are turning a part-time position into a full-time position. And I don't know, and maybe Ed and Renisa can fill me in, but I don't know how many of their people actually go out and chase down tax collection opportunities like Brent does, go out in the county, out in the field, make calls to corporate headquarters around the country to collect the taxes that are due. Do your people do that, Renisa, Ed?
I can say that my employees, our job is to collect taxes, and we my staff does an excellent job at that. We are very effective at collecting delinquent taxes, property taxes, and also vehicle registration taxes. No, we don't solicit people who, we think have not renewed their vehicle registration. That's generally a second notice from the state as far as vehicles are concerned. So I can say we are very effective at collecting. Our figures show that. But no, we do not call people and solicit.
Judge, I'd say 99% of ours is walk-in business. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Walk-in
Yes.
business. What we do when people don't pay taxes, we tie their property up. I mean, it's apples to oranges kind of. We're not going out and pursuing them, but they know if they don't pay their taxes, eventually there'll be some type of a lien or something that will tie their property up. So primarily our personnel sit in the office and collect, but that's the way it was set up and designed. And I'm not saying that's the way everybody should do it. That's just the way it's done here.
So
Judge, once they're delinquent, that's a function of my office, that we're the ones that send those letters and try to track taxpayers down on the real estate side.
So what I'm hearing though is that we're talking about slightly apples and oranges here between what Brent has to do and what the normal functions of Renisa's office and Ed do. It's different.
I guess, Judge, if I could just add something, if you look across the state at the medium average of the different occupations that we and offices in county government, I think where that figure lies is somewhere kind of in the middle of all the classifications. That'd be county court clerks, all of them, all the officials, and so again, just to reiterate, to me it just seems he's kind of hit there in the middle of what that salary range would be, even with the benefits. So, and I'm not looking at necessarily. I know I said he collects a lot of money, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make. Is that even when you look across the state, the pay will fall right in there for that particular position. If I look at the numbers right. Yeah.
Reasonable. The other thing I'd like to offer up in perspective to that salary suggestion is that for all intents and purposes, we're asking him to almost double his responsibility, double his hours. If you think of it that way, his current salary is $35,000 and change. If you double that, it would be $70,000 and change, but that's not what he's asking for. He's asking for 52, which is, Magistrate Putman mentioned, is right in the middle range of occupational tax collectors in counties similar to our size. So in that respect,
I think we made it look like we were referencing how much money he's bringing in, and that really is not what we were doing. We were just saying we feel like because of the money he's bringing in that we need this position, not just Brett in the future. I don't think this position will ever go away. It shouldn't be based on what he's bringing in. I agree with Magistrate McCollum on that. It should be a set wage, and that's what the wage is. And if he brings in $6 million next year, he's still going to make the same amount of money. I don't want people to misunderstand that.
We don't operate on commission, but
right, exactly, right.
I was just mentioning how much he brought in to show his effectiveness, and also
right. And
the cost of a full-time position versus what we bring in and what the additional revenue he's bringing in.
Right.
I
understand that, and I just wanted everybody else to understand that we're not doing a commission like type. It's strictly it'll be a salary position.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to go from 24 to 35 hours.
We are going to go to a salaried position of at least 35 hours. It'll be full-time.
Okay. What about training incentives?
He could be eligible for them if we decide to make it so.
Okay. And then don't we need to amend the budget to do this as well?
I'll ask Brenda to speak to that. If we turn this from part-time into a full-time position, do we need to eventually amend the budget?
Yes, eventually, because right now that line item is budgeted at salary-wise 35,700 approximately, and you will need to increase that and amend in additional revenue to support that.
And not difficult to do.
Okay, I don't know. I'm just not so sure what's the rush and push this through, but you all do what you want.
Any other questions? I don't know that the narrative here will change by waiting. Again, it doesn't appear to me that from what Mr. Gold has described is that this could be a contract position.
The narrative in my mind would be that the time to do this is when we do our budget. And that would be the time that you do this. And why we're doing it in the middle of the road here, I don't know, but.
I think it's based on the idea that Brent's work anniversary is coming up, and he's asked to have that be kind of a benchmark for making this full-time. And currently, right now, he is almost unable to do this work in 24 hours a week, which is merely an indication of his effectiveness. Again, he's created 450 new accounts that have to be administered and followed, and that number will only rise, hopefully. In addition, by having Shirley Pruitt on board, who has been a great help to both Brent and the rest of our staff, we put Brent in kind of a position of being a supervisor. And that's, happened just in the last few months. So again, another responsibility he's got that adds to his work. And so I think taking care of this now, in my mind, I mean, we can afford it. That's not a problem. And if we want to budget differently for this position next fiscal year, there's certainly that option.
Judge, didn't he say that he's working extra hours anyway? I mean, he's doing the job, but isn't he putting in more hours than he's actually getting paid for?
Well, he has the flexibility to take time off and try to balance some of those extra hours versus time he takes off. But he says now it's nearly impossible. And he, there's all the possibility that he might have done some work gratis, just to make sure he does it right. And I appreciate that from him, but it's getting to the point where we can't continue to ask him to do that.
Right.
So
And
there's
just to be clear, 100 hours a month is kind of the magic number with regard to that. Because if they average more than 100 hours a month in a year, that employee is considered full-time for retirement purposes. And that's when the Kentucky retirement system comes and says, hey, you haven't been paying for this individual into the retirement system. So that's why the 100 hours a month is kind of that magic number.
Yeah. And as he's telling us, it's very, very difficult for him to stick to 100 a month. And again, I don't want to ask him to continue to do this job at the level he has when he's made a pretty strong argument that it should be full-time, not only for him, as Tim Southard mentioned, but who we hire to replace him eventually. So.
Well, I guess the question is, Judge, where we go right now on this issue?
I'd like to entertain a motion to make it a full-time job at a salary level with the paid number that he suggested. I think 52,964, if I'm not mistaken.
694, I think.
52,694.
Yeah, 52,694.
With the normal level of benefits offered to him. Now, again, he probably will not take health insurance. But eventually we'll have to have that figured in our cost when we replace it.
That may be a problem. If he's full-time, a lot of the insurance companies with the state, if it's available to you, you've got to take it. Now, he might want to check on that before we run this horse through. That's the way it was with me as a judge. First, they told me I had to take my retirement insurance. I did for several years, and I had to pay for my wife's. And then the year before I left, they came in and said, no, you're full time. You can't use your retirement insurance. So they flipped me on the other side. And then I had to pay for that. If it's available, I mean, from the state, I don't know, he's with the military and they may allow him to work full time and do it. But that's not the way the state of Kentucky retirement does it. If you've got a full-time job, you've got to accept the health insurance from that full-time job.
Now, Charlie, as retired military myself, it's different for the military. We can opt to take the county insurance, or we are covered by TRICARE. And the same with our retirement. It doesn't matter if we have another job or not, as far as any of our retirement benefits from military.
So you don't take the health insurance, Kurt? The county health insurance?
I actually do because of a family.
But would you have the option?
Situation? I don't need to take the county health insurance.
So I think according to the data he gave the finance committee yesterday, a $50,000 salaried position with a single person taking the insurance would be, the total would be $73,369, which would be $23,000 more if they took all the benefits. And the other thing to think about too is when we replace him, we don't necessarily have to start that person out at the salary that Kurt is asking for, but he's obviously spent 1.5 years proving his ability. Brent will probably, did I say Kurt or Brent there? I'm sorry. The cost of the health insurance for a $50,000 per year salaried employee taking single is $7,000. So the end result will be an increase of approximately 17, or the cost of benefits for this position minus health insurance will be approximately $17,000 added on top of the salary. So,
when did we hire Shirley to help him?
I believe it was early spring.
Brought up in early spring when at the same time? I thought we were solving the problem by hiring him and giving him assistance. Then we have the budget done and we couldn't all done it at the same time.
I think he probably at that point didn't realize how much this was going to grow. And it's been a good thing.
It has.
You know, I guess I'm looking at this somewhat differently to some degree, because I keep going back to, we're really just reclassifying a position and making it full-time. A position that I think we all can agree that needs to be probably more than a part-time job based on just the workload. So I'm kind of considering this as a reclassification, which I think any elected official, whether it be the jailer or the court clerk, county court clerk, anybody, they can come in there and ask to reclassify something or create a position. Am I right?
Yeah, that's basically what we're doing.
So we're just kind of reclassifying a position that we think needs to be full-time.
And I asked Manager McCollum, can you see a scenario under which we would, in a new fiscal year, revert this or not have this be a full-time job?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not there on a hands-on basis to know what all he does. The results have been excellent, and he really works hard. I know that. You know, so I can't complain about that, but I don't know exactly. You know, I just thought that Shirley was supposed to supplement him, and that was going to solve the problems we had.
Well, a lot of what Kurt Wiesen was being forced to do to support the occupational tax job, to separate duties in opening checks and recording checks and things like that, have gone to Shirley, which has helped Kurt quite a bit in focusing on other tasks that he has to do. And Shirley also supports our finance office, including she's going to be implementing the purchase order system that you requested not too long ago. We are implementing a new purchase order system, and she's going to be in charge of all that. So Shirley's work does not just include supporting Brent Hebner's office. And my point in asking whether there's any chance that this won't be a full-time position in the new fiscal year indicates to me that we want it to be full-time. I guess the question is whether we can afford it this fiscal year, and the answer is unequivocally yes. And I think if we want to keep growing this and allow Brent to grow it, we need to make it a full-time position, and we might as well do it now, because he is butting up against the ceiling of what he's able to do in 100 hours a month, if not going over it probably. So why not do it now?
Well, I mean, you're right. But there's something, I'm cautious, and I like to be cautious. Our revenue for 18 went up 1.98%. 18 to 19, it went up 4.6%. From 19 to 20, it went up 4.29%. That's not just blowing things out of the water. I mean, that's good. But what are our costs going up, and where do we go? The legislature has still left us in the dark about the retirement bomb that's sitting there over our head, not knowing what's going to happen if if they start raising it that 4% a year and whatever. I don't know. I mean, so I don't have all the answers. I'm just trying to be conservative. That's just me, and I'm not necessarily against this. It just caught me a little surprised that we had to do all this at one time, at almost like a demand. And I don't like demands. I don't like being pushed into a corner all of a sudden. But and whenever it came down, this was going to be a contract thing. We don't have to pay any other fees. We're just bringing it up, and he's working more hours. That made sense. But I don't know. I'm not totally against it. It just caught me by surprise.
Well, I think we've talked about this a couple times before this meeting, and I think we all understood the benefits. So I'm a little surprised that you feel surprised. But I also,
we talked.
Saying that
Dave, how else did we talk?
Last week, as well as yesterday, and I think okay. we understood the proposition.
Brad, that's a short term. 1 week we talk about it. Out of the blue, it comes up. That's just me.
Well, does anybody else feel that way? That there's some more discussion we have to have on this?
Judge, is Brent, would he agree to maybe waiting till next, I mean, give it a couple more weeks or no? I mean, what's, I'm just asking. I'm leaning toward doing it, but I mean, I'm trying to get in. But I guess
and the other option we have, as you asked that question, I'm not sure about that, to answer your question, Keith, but we have every ability to ratchet this job back down at the turn of the fiscal year when we make our new budget.
Right.
Reduce costs and just see if Brent will stay, or risk that and, move on to somebody else. Because again, Brent doesn't need this job. He's doing it because he's competitive, and he's doing it because I asked him to.
Sure.
He could leave us without any thought whatsoever if he didn't feel like that it was worth his effort or time. And I'd hate to do that. And then once he leaves, we know we'd have to make it a full-time position and pay benefits.
Yeah, I think we need
all
to
that.
if we can.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we can ratchet this back down due to budget concerns, as Charlie mentioned, but I don't think it hurts any of the budget right now. Not this year's budget, certainly.
So I think it's a full-time job. I agree with that.
And we can, if we want to risk losing him, we can change salary, I think we pretty much decided based on the legal requirements that this can't be a contract job. And I will say, Charlie, we absolutely did not decide that it was going to be a contract job, which is exactly why you asked Mr. Gold to, requested Mr. Gold come up with the guidelines for us, because it was not settled at that time. So.
I'm not in favor of a contract. I don't like the contract job, because then we got to go into a bidding process, and it ties your hands as far as your.
There's a lot of negatives.
I agree.
Yes.
Judge, based on everything we've talked about in the last 30 or 40 minutes, I'm going to make a motion that we reclassify this job, the occupation administrator, to a full-time position based on the salary that was referenced, and I had to find it unless you can remember off the top of your head.
Let me find that.
$52,694 a year.
694 plus benefits.
With benefits, if as required, and he requests. That's my motion.
And you're talking about a salaried position, not
A salaried position, correct.
I'll second it, Butch.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say no.
I abstain.
We have one abstention. I appreciate it, and I will get in contact with Brent and also work with Brenda to get the necessary amendment taken care of, whatever we require over the next week. And I appreciate the conversation, and I understand Magistrate McCollum's caution, and I share his caution in every time we consider our budget. But in my mind, this was the right thing to do. And we will reap the benefit. I have no doubt we will reap the benefit allowing Brent to do this full time. So thank you. With that, we'll move to Debbie Edwards, Animal Control Reports. Debbie.
Hello, guys.
Hi, Debbie.
You guys already have the report for the financials. We are, we're keeping our head above water. We hopefully can resume some animal control training after January. Since COVID has all been canceled, we do have our 2 full-time officers that desperately need to continue that training. And we're hoping in February it will resume. Right now, there's no tentative date, I guess, pending the COVID results from that time. Our adoptions are starting to go down a little bit, so it's typical in the winter months. So COVID has not been very kind to us either, being a nonprofit. We're struggling right now trying to keep up with gloves, exam gloves. So if anybody knows where we can find some that the price hasn't doubled or tripled, I would be glad to know.
Debbie, what are those? Are those the normal plastic gloves that like medical?
Yes, sir. They're medical gloves, but they're latex powder free. I did find some at the Williams Brothers Medical Supply Store here in town. Our veterinarian supply store has basically gone from $6.80 a box to $25 a box. So we simply cannot afford that.
Wow.
So I'm just kind of reaching out everywhere. We go through, 100 a day easily. So it's hard to keep them in stock.
Debbie, you might check with Kenny Garrett.
Kenny Garrett, yeah.
Emergency Management Administrator. He might have a line of supply that is less expensive.
Absolutely. I will absolutely do that. I think it's crazy that they're just raising them quite so high, especially for people in the medical field that desperately need them. But other than that, we are doing okay. And we just keep plugging along, trying to save all the animals.
That looks like finances are solid, even in these challenging conditions. So,
we're doing good.
Yeah. Any other questions of Debbie? Debbie, how many animal control officers do you have right now?
We have 2 full-time. The newest one that we hired just next week, we'll have her 90 days in. At that time, we will be ordering more ACO uniforms and things like that. So that cost will go down a little bit, but I think we're going to be fine with just 2 right now.
It's good to see one last 90 days. It's been a challenge recently. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, Debbie, this is Bruce Farmer. Put together a list of what size gloves you need, and the estimate is how many you use a day, and either get a hold of Kenny or me, and we'll work on getting you some. That's what the court's wishes are, because we've got a slight stockpile right now that we're getting through the state.
Absolutely.
Okay?
I appreciate that. Just one more thing I'd like to add, you guys. On our ACO calls, you guys have all that information. We're still getting an alarmingly amount of calls for dogs running at large. So I would just like to, reiterate the need for the public to keep their animals secured in their own yard, whether it's in the house, on a leash, fenced-in yard. It's not only part of the ordinances for Henderson, but it's for their own safety as well, because these dogs are going to get run over. We're going to have to take them to the emergency vet, trying to locate the owners, and nobody really wants to do that. So I just need to ask the public to try to keep their animals secured in their own property. That's all I have.
All right.
Hey, Debbie, I have a question. You've got euthanized public and then euthanized. What's the difference between the 2?
We offer a public euthanasia if someone is needing to have their animal put down and they cannot afford to go to a veterinarian's office. We do offer that service. And the other number is just the animals within a building or on runs where they're injured and we've had to euthanize them. If you look at that number, though, it's lower than it's probably been in years. So we're really, really thrilled about that. I think stopping the cat intakes when we're full has helped a lot on the cat numbers. There's no ordinances on the number of cats you can have or spay and neuter laws in Kentucky. So we've struggled with that. This is the first year we've stopped intake when we absolutely cannot safely house anymore. The public has been so wonderful and well received on that. Because if there is a stray cat, if it's not injured or healthy, it's better where it's at. Unfortunately, until we can get a trap neuter release or some sort of spay neuter clinic going, it's not going to minimize that population that is taking over the county. We did have our first spay and neuter clinic 2 weeks ago. and we hope to have another one in December. So we're on the right track. So I appreciate everybody being so patient with us.
There's no leash law for cats, right?
No, sir.
No.
They're a problem.
Yep.
Any other questions of Debbie? Thank you very much. Appreciate the report.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Jailer Brady has her quarterly report. It's in your packet. Anything you'd like to add, Jailer Brady?
Morning.
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 On the quarterly report, you'll notice that the boiler storage tanks are off there. So those are all good. They're up and running properly. Knock on wood, no leaks at all. So it's dry in our utility room for first time in a long time. We do have some HVAC units we're going to have to look at replacing in the near future. We still have 4 that are original units. And they have been well maintained throughout the years, but they're starting to nickel and dime us just about every month. Staffing is low. It's at an all-time low. It's not just here, it's every jail across the state. People can stay home and they can draw a check. And a lot of people are choosing to do that. We'll get a new hire processed in, and sometimes they'll leave for lunch at training and we'll never see them again. Other than that.
Hey, Amy, am I looking at that? Am I looking at that right? Where you're 11 male jailers down and 9 female jailers, 20 short? Wow.
Yes. Yep. Luckily, it came at a time when community services shut down. So we're utilizing community service officers, transport officers, and overhead staff to provide coverage for the shifts. I mean, I worked medical the other night. I was the medical deputy.
Is there anything, I know you talked in the past about increasing the hourly pay for your staff. Is any other further thought on that?
We're looking at it. We're losing another this week to Toyota, starting out at $18.09 an hour. So that's quite a jump there. We just received an increase in our federal per diem, and it goes into effect December the 1st. So we're getting an increase of $12 per inmate. So that's really good. It's going to make a difference of more than $780,000 a year, just based on our average population.
Excellent.
We're going to take and look at what we have coming in and see what we can do as far as pay. We've restructured some positions. It's just tough times. It really is right now. COVID affects all of us, but in a jail, it's a different world. We're, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we're providing for the needs of 500 and right around 50 people right now. A lot of mental health issues in the jails, and there's no place in Henderson County for them to go, and jail's not the place for them, but they have to find the root of the problem as far as what is causing them to break the law and what causes the mental health issues. I would say our population would probably be down about 100 inmates if we didn't have the mental health issues in our jails right now.
Do we still have the FQHC out at the health department?
I'm
Anybody
not
know?
really. I'm not really sure.
They used to have a nurse practitioner, mental health practitioner, and for the life of me, I couldn't understand why we didn't send the people that go to the hospital and then they go to Western, or they end up going to the jail, why we didn't try to get them an appointment with that person. A lot of these people, and I'm sure this is probably still the case, they're self-medicating with alcohol or drugs, and instead of getting the real underlying problems, and they've alienated their entire families. There's nobody, they're just, people are just tired of dealing with them, and so you end up being where they go.
It is. We have, counselors here as part of our medical contract. And we've also been utilizing the people that are working with SAP because they're certified counselors.
Right.
But people weren't going for evaluations and things like that because the state was shut down. They were pulling the people with COVID out of the smaller jails, the jails that had an outbreak of COVID, into the prison system. Everything's kind of at a standstill.
Might want to check with them and see if they still have a nurse practitioner with the mental health background. That if we could send some of these people, I mean, they actually get paid for helping these people, where the hospital, the ER doesn't. And that just always seemed like, why not send them to someplace? And some of these people just need somebody to talk to, somebody to make sure they're staying on their meds, somebody to work with that. And I mean, whenever I was on the hospital board, I tried to see about getting that where they would send all those people, and that I didn't want to do that. Of course, we also tried to get it set up where the nurses could be do the see if somebody was mentally ill, the test. I think, Steve, you remember when we looked at that issue, and the ER docs didn't want anybody telling them what to do, especially nurses. And I love nurses. I love nurse practitioners. And that just seemed like a good place to go and start and sending for them, but that didn't happen. I apologize. I'll change the subject. You've got your administrative concerns about the rusted tables and the mattresses. Is there anything we can do about the tables as far as sanding them down and putting some kind of epoxy on them or anything like that? And do we need to start getting a few mattresses at a time, or what do we need to do?
I just purchased mattresses. We got a load of, I think, 120 or 130 in. And then as far as the tables, they're down to their last few tables. The small tables, for some reason, didn't have stainless steel tops like the others. And so they just finished taking all the tables out, the small ones, one cell at a time, and taking care of that.
Well, thank you for all your hard work. I know you all worked really, really well with the feds. That is tremendous. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Beth is also, Master Moran is also on the jail committee. Beth, anything you want to add?
No, other than I am concerned about the loss in employees, and we do need to approach something that we could do to maybe increase salaries or do something to keep them, or better training or incentives or something that we could do to fix that problem.
We will trust that the jail committee can work with the jailer to see what's possible and within her budget. And I know that she keeps a close eye on those numbers. So, I do hope that, support we get in grants to take care of our COVID expenses. We're going to be getting back from the state. A substantial amount is going to be going to the detention center, and hopefully that'll help the bottom line and maybe help do some things that you might not have been comfortable doing considering the reduced revenue from the loss of prisoners. So we'll just have to see how that works out. And we should know shortly what that amount is. So Any other thoughts, Amy? Anything else to report?
Nope. We're holding steady out here. Got some training going on today, first aid, CPR, recertification, and trudging along, trying to get through the holidays and keep everybody healthy and well.
Please send our compliments to your team. Please do. And we'll be out there soon.
Thank you.
Say hi.
Thank you.
You have in your packets the sheriff's
sir.
monthly reports.
Excuse me, sir.
Yep.
Can we get a motion to accept the jailer's quarterly reports?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Master McCollum, a second by Master Southern. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Clerk, for that reminder. You have in your packet the sheriff's monthly reports. Sheriff Brady, anything to add to your report?
No, sir, routine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Make a
Judge, I
motion.
move we accept them.
Second.
Motion by Master Putman, a second. I'll give it to Master McCollum because he was ready to jump in on that. Any other questions of Sheriff Brady? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Anything else, Sheriff? Anything you want to throw in there for the good of the group?
Well, if it's for the good of the county, just Thanksgiving, thankful for our county and for our employees and the citizens we serve. It's a great place to live and work, and thankful for all of y'all too.
Thank you. Ms. Abner, your report. Everybody should have a copy, hopefully, and you want to go over it with us?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's
Good
really
morning.
good to see everybody. It's been a little while since I've been on these fiscal court meetings. We've been really super busy down here trying to get all the election wrapped up and all the COVID precautions and everything going on. So it's really good to see everybody. Yes, for October, I have the report. You should have it. I have for excess fees for the month, $141,528.54. And for reference, that's around 55,000 more than I turned over in 2019 of October of 2019. And then the total remitted to the county is $187,466.70. And for reference, in October of 2019, amount was 62,000 less. So we are collecting taxes. We are serving the public. We are doing the very best we can, taking all the precautions we can. So yeah, just we're chugging along too, trying to get through this together. So appreciate everything everybody's done, especially for the election. So many people helped out. So many county offices helped out. You know, the judge gave up his fiscal courtroom and everything that went along with that. It was all a secure place to do all the counting. You know, the road department was awesome with us. They worked with us tremendously, helping us transport the equipment, making stanchion poles. You know, the finance office, Brenda worked with me with the grant money. It's been a lot, a challenge, but, you know, we have come through it, and we are just really grateful for the community and for all our partners that we had in pulling it off. And it's really good to be back into more of a normal routine now, as far as my day-to-day. COVID's still there, and we all still have the challenges, and we're working through them. But I just appreciate everybody.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate your office. You all run an excellent election. The people need to be able to trust that the results are right. And you all do a fantastic job. People don't understand it. They don't know that there's a Republican and Democrat there all the time. They don't see it. And all this bluey that's out there on the internet and everything, they don't understand it. But you did a great job. I really appreciate it. I'd make a motion to approve your report.
I second it.
We have a motion by Master McCollum, a second by Master Putman, and I'll also compliment your team, Renisa. You are always among the very most professional team in all of Kentucky. And I also appreciate you working closely with Secretary Adams to make sure that your association worked with him to make sure that all of the counties had smooth elections in Kentucky. I think it's not probably hyperbole to say that Kentucky is regarded now as one of the best states at running their elections. And considering Kentucky's history with elections, now long ago history, maybe not so long ago history, that's quite a leap. And it's good to know. And as Charlie mentioned, Manager McCullum mentioned, considering everything else that's been challenged in the national election, it's good to have a state that does it right. So, and you're a big part of that. I appreciate it. Any other comments or questions on the report?
I'd just like to thank you too, Renisa. I tell everybody that if everybody could have a Renisa, we wouldn't be going through the stuff we're going through right now. So thank you. Y'all do a great job, and it takes a good leader to have great people. So thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, as an anecdote, Renisa mentioned work with the road department to transport these machines. She used to spend $7,000 an election almost paying to have the machines moved, and we don't do that anymore. And so there you go, Charlie. We can save some more money doing that.
Absolutely.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Renisa. Mr. Gold, your report.
Thank you, Judge. First, I want to thank everybody for the calls and texts and support that we received in our office. We ended up having 5 people in the office positive for COVID, and everybody is generally recovered now, with the exception of one who was in the hospital for about a week and is now out, but still on the mend. So we would appreciate all thoughts and prayers for her. We will, and we've had the office open for business, but not open for public payments to come in. We've not had the lobby open, but we've been able to process payments and handle all the emergency and critical issues that come up. So we do have people in the office. We will be reopening the lobby this coming Monday. So we'll be able to handle more walk-in traffic. But right now we encourage everybody to continue to use the station that we've set up outside the door for making payments, and to use phone and email. We're able to handle a whole lot of things virtually like that. As far as financially today, we have 3 checks, $458.33 to flow through from the city, interest in the amount of $22.60 and $42.78 for a total today, $523.70, and the fiscal year total to date, $89,749.08.
Motion to accept the.
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
Motion from Manager Barry, second by Master Southern. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Now to Treasurer Ryder. Got a couple transfers and some claims. Yeah.
The transfers are as presented, which are reallocating appropriations within the existing budget. I do have one change to make. The last transfer in the road fund, the appropriation number as well as the appropriation name has been changed from bridge construction to contracted construction. The amounts do remain the same.
Make a motion to approve.
I second it.
Motion to approve the transfers by Master McCullum, second by Master Putman. Any other questions on these? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And just so y'all know, the reason I make sure to name the person who made the motion and second is to make sure that Mr. Weeson knows that, because sometimes doing it virtually like this, he can miss the person who actually made the motion in the second. So in case you're wondering, that's why we're doing that. Okay, Treasurer Ryder, moving on.
You have your bank balances, and these are after paying claims today. Your day-to-day appropriation line items should be at approximately 41%. I do have some additional claims to add. From the general fund to Dale Marketing in the amount of $1,453.33. This is for a laptop for the county attorney's office and is to come from the county attorney data processing equipment appropriation line. To the Kentucky County Clerk Association in the amount of $1,860. This is for annual dues and is to come from the clerk's membership appropriation line. From the road fund to Cummins Sales and Service in the amount of $583.50. This is for generator inspections and is to come from the maintenance repairs appropriation line. Also from the road fund to Tri-State Poly in the amount of $508. This is for sidewalk repairs in the Thorn Ridge subdivision and is to come from the maintenance and repairs appropriation line. These are all the additional claims I have.
Any questions about?
Okay, accept.
Try, Mr. Sutter, did you make a motion?
I moved to accept, yes.
Second.
We have a motion by Master Southern, second by Master Moran. Any other questions on claims?
Yeah, I have a couple, and this is, I'm sure there's, on page 2 of the claims, Deaconess Clinic Wellness, the $9,777.50 for the nurse visit. Didn't we used to use the health department for that?
We haven't in years, not since I've been here.
Is there some reason, or do they charge more?
I think it was part of our overall wellness contract, that visiting nurse visits that we have throughout the year, and having them gather the data in our October,
Okay.
what do you call it?
Wellness,
Yeah, where we gather everybody's vital stats, get a flu
Yeah.
shot. They're all tied together in a contract that since I've been here, that's what we've done.
Okay, I just saw that. And then on the PVA phone, I know we make a payment to them each year, and is there some reason we pay their phone?
We do make an annual appropriation to the PVA's office, as well as we have paid the phone bill for the PVA
And
since I've been here.
I would imagine that's part of just convenience because all the phones are under one contract with AT&T.
They are, and all the lines are tied together.
Yeah.
The Municipal Power and Light is who we paid this to.
Well, I guess, yeah, we're on voice over IP, so I believe all those are tied together.
Okay, I just curious if everybody's okay. I'm okay. That's all the questions I have.
Okay. Motion to accept claim. No, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Anything else, Ms. Ryder?
That's all. Thank you.
Remind me the percentage that we should be at on our, is it 40% you said?
41%.
41, yeah.
41, I'll make a note that so far, overall expenses, all departments, all budgets, we're at 34% of expenses. So our departments continue to do a good job minding their money as we always have. And that's part of our secret in being able to put so much more money in reserve now and have a contingency in our budget that is started more than $753,000. Is not merely the added revenue, but also the very tight minding of our expenses. So there's more to that formula than just additional revenue. And I appreciate the work of the department heads to watch that closely.
Brad, sort of on that note, is there any more thought about defeasing any of our bonds, especially the 911 and forth?
Well, yes, I hope to do that first of next calendar year. I think we agreed that we might want to watch how COVID was impacting our budget before we made the call on that, because for the 911 bond, it's going to be on the order of between $2.5 and $2 million, somewhere in there by the time we utilize the amount we haven't used in that bond.
Right.
For the jail, I know that Jailer Brady is very keen to defease her final bond, but also wanted to see how revenues were going before she made that commitment. But hopefully, fiscal court will be in a position to do it. I'm anticipating we should do it and can do it. For Jailer Brady, it's a little bit more difficult calculation because of what may or may not happen with the pandemic from the court system in Kentucky.
Right. Well, once we do that, it sort of gives us a better idea of where we really stand too. So I like that. I appreciate your doing that.
And I think it's been our goal from the beginning since I was appointed and working with Amy on this as well, that we get to be debt free as quickly as possible. It'll offer us much more flexibility. We all agree on that. Okay. I'd like to go around for Good of the County. We have the coroner with us today. Bruce, anything for Good of the County? Might have to, unmute.
Well, it's a pleasure being here and also helping with emergency management. Just to remind the people here and all the people listening in, the COVID we knew the second wave was coming. It's just coming a little earlier than anticipated. We've been hit pretty good. We're keeping the supplies out to the departments that are asking for it. And we're asking, all the public needs to get masks and, be safe with that. The best thing we can do is the masks, the best start. Social distancing helps a little bit, but it's going to be a while before the vaccine gets down to this level and we all get to start doing it, but we can be doing things ourselves. There's still a lot of people that won't wear a mask, but they really need to. That's the biggest thing with that. And the other thing is the coroner's office is going right along. Our numbers are going through the roof as compared to years past. So, but other than that, but just ask everybody have a good holiday. And like I said, you wear a mask and be careful.
Thank you, Bruce. Let's see. Kenny Garrett is actually attending a meeting this morning and couldn't join us, but he's been working hard too. PPE is always, keeping track of that, making sure we're on top of that in case he has to supply a lot of PPE to other first responder organizations. So far, we're good. And you heard Bruce say, I think we're in good shape, but you never know. So he's working hard on that. Go around the room, virtual room. Master Moran, any thoughts for Good of the County?
Well, I'd just like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I know it will be different this year, but still the good thoughts are there. I'd also I'd like to say thank you again to all the people that work in healthcare. And I know I've had 2 friends this past week that elderly parents had been admitted to hospitals because of COVID, and they feel so helpless, but those people take such good care of them while they're there. So I encourage people to wear your mask and take care during this holiday, and as well as in District 2.
Thank you, Master Moran. Master McCollum?
I too would like to wish everybody happy holidays, and we're all really blessed, even though things are tough. I know it's going to be different for us. We don't get to be with our families at this Thanksgiving, and wearing the mask and just it helps protect other people. It's just not about you, and that's what we need to think about. It's about helping everybody else. Everything's good in the 5th. I appreciate all the employees and all the supervisors and everybody that works for the county. We've done a really good job this year, and I really appreciate that. And Kurt, if you don't mind putting me down for the transportation conference, I think that's really important, and I would like to go to that in January, or do it virtually. Excuse me. My wife wouldn't let me go anywhere, I don't think.
Thanks for that, Master Southern.
I'd just like to tell everybody happy Thanksgiving. As Charlie said, we all have a lot to be thankful for. We live in a wonderful county. We have wonderful people in our county that care about others, and to reiterate, wear your mask. It's simple. Slide it on, put it in your pocket when you walk in, put it on before you go in, and it's easy. Don't like them no more than anybody else does, but it's something I think we need to do to help our public. So all's good in District 3.
Thank you, Magistrate Perry.
Thank you, Judge. Thank everybody. I want to thank all the county employees and everybody that works, has anything to do with the county government for doing a good job. Everybody does such a good job. We got a good team. And along with what Tim and Bruce said about the mask, of course, I've traveled this month, and it's unbelievable the people, the places that I've been in as we stop at maybe a restaurant or gas station or something, that people just don't wear masks. I really don't understand that. And I think people in Henderson are probably doing better than, hopefully in the state of Kentucky, doing better than some states, because I don't think people are really taking it serious. And I say that because actually my mother, who's 85, had COVID, was in the hospital for a week. Didn't think she was going to survive at first, but she did. She's doing good. She's back in assisted living, so she's out of the hospital. So I just want to reiterate the fact that wear your mask. It's just like Tim said, it's so easy. Just take it out, put it on. I don't understand people that won't do that. So please, everybody do that. Makes a big difference. I do believe in them. So we need to do that. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And I think we're good in District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Master Putman.
Thank you, Judge. I as well would like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And I hope everybody is mindful of, this Thanksgiving is going to be a struggle for a lot of people, since we're kind of all shut in and everything. So we just got to make the best out of it. Got to get to the end of the game, right? And that vaccine's getting close. And we all know what we should be doing. We repeat it every day. We say it every day. So I won't go into that, but just be mindful though that, if you can reach out and help somebody during this time of year, do that. I mean, because there's several people or a lot of people, even in our community, that may not have that food. And the Salvation Army and other organizations will provide some, but we don't necessarily reach out all of them. So if you know someone that needs something and you can help them out, that'd be a blessing for sure. And Judge, I just say everything's good in the 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate those comments and everybody else's well wishes for people out there. I totally agree with your concern about our older folks, and point well taken. Thank you. And I know you do a lot to help the elderly in our community, and I appreciate that too. Mr. Gold, anything else for good of the county?
Thanks, Judge. Just want to reiterate what everybody else said, but I do want to say one of the things that I'm thankful for in this thing that's been an awful 2020 has been the team that we have as county government, from the fiscal court on down. Everybody, this challenge that 2020 has represented has been something that Henderson County has come together as a team to deal with. And there's been a whole lot of cooperation among all the different offices and everything. And to me, that's how we're going to get through this, by working together. And it's been something that I've always been impressed with how we do that, but this year in particular, it's something I'm very thankful for. So thank you to everybody on this call and everybody in county government for everything that they're doing to make sure that we're able to continue to provide services to the citizens. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you, Steve. As always, glad you're here. Glad you're better. For good of the county, I just wanted to let everybody know that we had an appointment that I needed to make along with the mayors in the county as prescribed by Rainier Area Development District regs, that our citizen representative from Henderson County for many years on the grad board has been William Markwell. Somebody needed to be appointed in that position. He asked to be reappointed, and I got concurrence from Mayor Austin, Mayor Sellers, and Mayor Self in reappointing William Markwell. That's our appointment. So just wanted to fill you in on that. We look forward to Bill continuing to serve that body well, as he has in the past. I believe the asphalting for the season has been completed. Maybe the masters can confirm that with me. Bill's not here, but I think they are done or just about done. And
Just
I think we
Still have one,
huh?
we still have one more road that we're trying to get there. We're having issues. It's the road that the pipeline came through, and Bill's working with the pipeline company trying to get them to pony up to their part. So
Right.
that's,
Well, Bill, keep us abreast on that, but I think as we were all pleased to say earlier in the season, this is the most amount of money we spent on blacktop in quite some time, which is a good thing. We're getting back up to speed where we really need to be. And a lot of that is both performance in the budget and Mr. Hubiak's, I hate to say tight-fistedness in other line items on his budget, but he watches it very closely and doesn't waste money. So that's a good thing. And I know Ohio Drive is, for all intents and purposes, done. We're just now scheduling a kind of a ribbon cutting to finish it. It's been a 2-year journey, and our road department has been outstanding. They basically built the road themselves. The city also built its part, the small part from Highway 60 to the CSX tracks. We saved ourselves hundreds of thousands of dollars by building this, expanding and fixing this road ourselves. I don't know a lot of county road departments that would have attempted it, considering all the other things they have to do during the course of the last 2 years, and we got it done. I don't think it's a stretch to say that we saved hundreds of jobs in the community by doing that, because there were more than one of the industrial companies on that road that warned us that not doing this would either cost us expansion opportunities because they couldn't in good conscience put more traffic on that road, or they might have to move altogether just to find a better situation. So it was very important to do, and we've reached the finish line really in doing that. I'm very proud of our road department and all the other parts of our team that helped record the expenses, work with the state and federal governments to make sure we get reimbursed properly. So I believe Mr. Wiesen was part of that, other folks. So thank you. Like you, Magistrate Putman, I'm concerned about a lot of people right now as we go into the Thanksgiving holiday. We have a lot to be thankful for, but there are a lot of people I'm worried about. I'm worried about kids who are not in school. I think we're seeing increased numbers of kids who are not handling, not being in school with their friends poorly. I absolutely understand the governor's concern and reasoning behind being very careful with in-person school, but I know it's a burden. It's a burden on parents, and it's not great for kids. It's just a very difficult part of all this. I worry about restaurant owners who have had to adjust again, and in a business that is tough as it is, even in normal circumstances. And restaurants, perhaps maybe than a lot of businesses in town, contribute to the quality of life here and pardon the pun, but the flavor of our community. And they can bring a lot of dollars in from outside the county because people enjoy visiting them when they're excellent. We have a lot of excellent restaurants. So I worry about them, and I hope that they all make it through this 3-week period so we don't lose any more. We've already lost several. And those are jobs, those are local residents who own these restaurants. It's in some cases kind of heartbreaking, but I understand the precautions we have to take to get through this very serious public health issue. So we are all on fiscal court thinking about our residents out there and our citizens. I know we are. And I'll end this by saying I really appreciate all of our magistrates. We had a spirited debate today. I think that is good. I think that's what we're here to do, to talk through these situations, and don't think for a second I don't understand that that's a good thing for both this court and our community. So as I've said many times, y'all are not here to be potted plants, and that is fine by me. We get the information we can, make the best decisions we can, and I like that. And everybody contributes, and I think everybody understands the issues when we come into any fiscal court meeting. So thank you for your service and thank you for what you're doing. It's good for the county.
Fred, thank you. I appreciate all you do as well. The United Way, the money that we give to help, can I send a check to somebody, or how do I need to, what do I need to do?
I think you can always send a check. Melissa Clements at United Way. You can send it directly to United Way if that's who you are talking about helping.
No. About the bonus money that we help to, don't we give something?
Oh,
to?
yeah. We pool a little money in to have some prizes at the end of the year that we draw out of hat for employees who've contributed to United Way. So please send that to Angela Comer.
And make the check to who?
I guess Angela, she'll cash it and put it in the pot. This is kind of an informal thing. $50 is the suggested amount.
And what's the address there for her?
20 North Main.
20 North Main.
Yep.
Okay, I'll get it. My boss will get it out today.
It's a small token of our appreciation for all employees who do paycheck deduction contributions to United Way, and it's important. It's an important organization in our community. So I appreciate all of our employees who do that.
Right.
I think, we have close to 100% participation, if I'm not mistaken, at least in the 90s, I would guess. I may be wrong, but we get a lot of participation. So with that, unless anybody has anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
The Boys and Girls Club, who do we donate that? Who do we, I know we donate to Boys and Girls, but who do we get that money to?
Contact Mr. Gold after the meeting and he will set you up.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Or I can send you the link to a way to make a donation right now, Tim, if you want me to.
That will work too. I just want to make sure I do it before I forget.
I will text it to you right now. And
right,
Mr. Gold duly noted that our team will gain some more advantage on the rest of the teams helping fundraise.
Send it to me too.
Amen. I will do it. I will do it. Okay. I've got multiple motions to adjourn in multiple seconds. So I'll let Mr. Wiesen pick two out, and all those in favor can leave, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.